Imagine for a moment that the relentless pursuit of something yet to come blinds us to the beauty and depth of what already resides within us. Have you ever stopped to consider that perhaps the greatest revelations don't lie in a distant future, but in the unveiling of the layers that make up our own existence? Welcome to this space of reflection, an invitation to dive together into the deep waters of being. At times, we find ourselves waiting for a grand event, an external transformation, that will, like a wave of magic, redefine our world and above all our sense of self. This expectation, though human, can trap us in a cycle of constant longing, diverting our gaze from the stage where true metamorphosis occurs, our inner world. Think of the great narratives that have shaped our civilization. The Odyssey, with Ulysses' journey to return home, could it not also be a metaphor for our own quest for wholeness, for rediscovering the center that sometimes gets lost in the storms of life? Or the search for the Holy Grail, an object of power and purity? Does it not echo our innate desire for meaning and transcendence, something that may not lie in a mystical chalice, but in the purity of our intentions and the elevation of our consciousness? The very idea of a Messiah, a savior who returns, permeates various cultures and beliefs. But what if this return were not a literal, dated, and geolocated event, but rather an awakening of our own capacity for redemption, healing, and unconditional love? What if the promise didn't reside in a single individual, but in the dormant potential within each of us? This perspective invites us on an inner journey to unravel the mysteries residing in our psyche, to explore the labyrinths of our thoughts and emotions. Psychology teaches us about the complexity of the human mind, about the behavioral patterns that confine us, and about the innate capacity for transformation. Carl Jung, with his exploration of the collective unconscious and archetypes, showed us that there are universal patterns echoing in our dreams and myths, suggesting a profound connection between individual experience and ancestral wisdom. And philosophy, with its eternal questions about existence, truth, and purpose, offers us tools to challenge our most deeply rooted beliefs. From Plato's dialogues to Sartre's existential reflections, we are invited to examine the nature of reality and our role within it. Is truth something to be found outside, or something to be built and experienced internally? If you feel connected to this quest for deeper understanding, if the idea that transformation begins within resonates with your soul, I invite you to join this community of consciousness explorers. Subscribe to the channel to stay tuned for our next dives into topics that touch the essence of being. Also, leave a like if this initial reflection has moved you in some way. Continuing our journey, let's think about Egyptian mythology, with its constant pursuit of immortality and the soul's journey through the underworld. Could this quest not be a reflection of our yearning to transcend finitude, to find a meaning that endures beyond our earthly existence? And the resurrection of Osiris, a cycle of death and rebirth, does it not echo our own capacity to reinvent ourselves, to learn from our falls and to emerge stronger? In the Hindu tradition, the idea of reincarnation presents us with a continuous cycle of learning and soul evolution. Each life would be an opportunity to develop virtues, overcome challenges, and draw closer to unity with the divine. This perspective invites us to view difficulties not as punishments, but as steps in our spiritual journey. Norse mythology, with its gods, giants, and the inevitable battle of Ragnarok, speaks to us of impermanence and the constant transformation of the universe. Even the gods are subject to the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. This vision reminds us of the importance of living fully in the present, aware of the transience of all things, and the spiritual stories from various traditions, the teachings of great masters, the parables that span centuries, all point to a fundamental truth. Genuine transformation is an internal process. Peace, happiness, enlightenment, whatever name we give it, are not external conquests, but states of being that flourish when we cultivate the garden of our soul. So what does this return we so eagerly await mean? If it's not a literal event, what does it represent in our personal and collective journey? Could this metaphor point to the awakening of a higher consciousness, to a reconnection with our divine essence, to the manifestation of love and compassion in our lives? Think of the parable of the prodigal son, The Son's return is not merely a physical event, but a recognition of his mistake, a humble request for forgiveness, and a loving embrace from the Father. This story resonates with our own journey of straying from our true nature and at some point feeling the call to return, to reconcile with ourselves and with the unconditional love that resides at our core. Continuing our immersion, let's reflect on the nature of time. Our linear perception, with a past that is gone and an uncertain future, often prevents us from experiencing the fullness of the present. Eastern philosophy invites us to contemplate the now as the only real moment, the meeting point between eternity and our finite experience. What if the return we await were not a future event, but an awakening to the eternity that already resides in each moment? What if the key to this understanding lay in quieting the mind, silencing the incessant inner dialogue, and connecting with the stillness that permeates all things? Meditation, a practice present in various spiritual traditions, offers a path to this stillness. By observing our thoughts and emotions without judgment, we learn to distance ourselves from the mental whirlwind and access a space of inner peace that has always been there, waiting to be discovered. Transpersonal psychology, in turn, explores expanded states of consciousness and the search for meaning and transcendence. It reminds us that we are multidimensional beings with far greater potential than we typically recognize. The return could then be the expansion of our consciousness, the realization that we are part of something much larger, a web of interconnected life and energy. Think of Plato's allegory of the cave. The prisoners, chained and seeing only shadows on the wall, believe that this is the only reality. When one of them breaks free and steps out of the cave, they are blinded by the sunlight, representing truth. Upon returning to share their discovery, they are ridiculed by the others, who prefer the security of their illusions. This allegory invites us to question our own chains, the limiting beliefs that prevent us from seeing the light of truth. And what would that truth be? Perhaps there is no single definitive answer, but rather a path of self-discovery, a personal journey of dismantling illusions and reconnecting with our purest essence. Have you ever asked yourself what voice guides your decisions? Is it fear, insecurity, the search for external approval? Or is it your intuition, your inner wisdom? The return could be the awakening to that authentic voice, the alignment with our life's purpose, with what truly brings us joy and meaning. Ancient mythologies often present us with heroes who face seemingly insurmountable challenges, who descend into the underworld and return transformed. Isis's journey to gather the pieces of Osiris, Theseus confronting the Minotaur's labyrinth, Inanna's descent into the Sumerian underworld, all these archetypal narratives echo our own journey of integrating our shadows, facing our fears, and being reborn into a new version of ourselves. And spirituality, in its various forms, reminds us of the importance of compassion, love, and connection with something greater than ourselves. Whether through prayer, contemplation, service to others, or the celebration of nature, we find ways to transcend the ego and feel part of a whole. The return could be the manifestation of these values in our lives, the building of a more just, loving, and conscious world. Wouldn't that be the true promise of a better future? Not the passive waiting for divine intervention, but the collective action of human beings awakened to their transformative potential. We reach a crucial point in our reflection. If the return is not an external event but an inner awakening, what is the great mystery revealed in this understanding? Perhaps the mystery is the realization that the divine, the sacred, the transformative force we seek has never been absent. Perhaps it has always resided within us, dormant beneath layers of conditioning, fear, and illusion. The Sufi tradition, with its emphasis on the direct experience of the divine through dance, music, and poetry, invites us to transcend the rational mind and connect with the beauty and ecstasy of union with the all. Rumi, with his passionate verses, speaks of a love that transcends separation and unites us with the source of all creation. And quantum physics, with its discoveries about the interconnected nature of reality, the influence of observation on matter, and the infinite potential of the universe, doesn't it echo this vision of a reality where everything is intrinsically linked, where separation is merely an illusion of perception. If we are part of this cosmic fabric, if the same energy that creates the stars pulses in our hearts, then the return could be the recognition of our inherent divine nature. We wouldn't need to wait for an external savior, for the potential for salvation. Healing and transformation resides within each of us. Have you ever felt that profound stillness after a storm, that sense of clarity that emerges after a period of chaos? Could that not be the manifestation of our capacity to find inner peace, even amidst tribulations? Think of the story of the phoenix, the mythological bird that rises from its ashes. It doesn't wait for external intervention to transform. The fire of destruction becomes the catalyst for its even more glorious rebirth. This powerful image reminds us of our own capacity to reinvent ourselves, to learn from difficulties, and to emerge stronger and more resilient. What if the return were simply the act of reconnecting with this inner strength, with this capacity to be reborn in every moment, to let go of old identities, and to embrace our limitless potential? Mindfulness practices teach us to live in the present moment with full attention, without judgment. By freeing ourselves from anxiety about the future and attachment to the past, we create space for the direct experience of life, with all its nuances and possibilities. Isn't this conscious presence in itself a form of return to our natural state of being, a state of peace and connection? And near-death experiences, reported by people from different cultures and beliefs, often describe a sense of unity, unconditional love, and transcendence of time and space. These experiences suggest that consciousness may exist beyond the limits of the physical body, that there is a dimension of reality that transcends our ordinary perception. The return could then be the expansion of our consciousness into this broader reality, the realization that we are far more than just a physical body, that we are spiritual beings living a human experience. And so, we reach the end of this journey of reflection. The return of Jesus, stripped of its historical and dogmatic literalness, reveals itself as a powerful metaphor for the awakening of our own inner divinity. It is not the arrival of an external savior that will redeem us, but the recognition of our own capacity to love unconditionally, to forgive, to heal, and to transform the world around us. The mystery that unfolds is that the light we seek has never been distant. It has always shone within us, waiting to be recognized and radiated. The return is the moment when this light fully ignites in our consciousness, dispelling the shadows of ignorance and fear. What is the word this reflection evokes in your soul? Share it in the comments. If this journey has touched you, leave, say like and share this video with those who are also seeking a deeper understanding of life. Subscribe to the channel to continue exploring the mysteries of existence together.